Have you ever walked into a room and felt the vibe was just off? Like you're at a funeral but someone is blasting Shake It Off and hand-feeding people cupcakes? That's exactly how the internet felt during the press tour for It Ends With Us. We all remember the Where Your Florals TikToks and the sparkly girls' night out energy Blake Lively brought to the red carpet. It was a vibe that felt more Gossip Girl than a heavy exploration of domestic violence. But while the world was scratching its head, a legal battle was brewing behind the scenes. Now, in early 2026, unsealed text messages between Blake Lively and her co-star Brandon Sklenar have hit the internet, and they're doing more than just raising eyebrows. They're fueling a full-blown firestorm. But what exactly was said in the middle of the night between two of Hollywood's stars? And did the flower power marketing really come at the expense of the victims the story was meant to represent? To understand why these texts are such a big deal, we have to look back at the chaos of late 2024. While fans were busy analyzing why Blake and director and co-star Justin Baldoni wouldn't stand in the same photo together, a legal war was already being waged. Blake Lively filed a lawsuit against Baldoni, alleging a hostile work environment and severe emotional distress. In response, the drama went nuclear with a massive countersuit. But it wasn't until January 2026 that the court unsealed a treasure trove of evidence, including raw, unfiltered texts between Blake and Brandon Sklenar. The public's first reaction? Total shock. We weren't just looking at professional disagreements. We were looking at a strategic play to control the narrative of the film's release. The texts reveal a side of the industry rarely seen, where the message of a film is a chess piece and the marketing is the queen. But as the messages continued to leak, a darker question emerged. Was the marketing's lighthearted tone a mistake, or a calculated choice to bury the sad parts of the story? One of the most damning aspects of the unsealed texts is the discussion surrounding the film's vibe. In messages exchanged between May and August 2024, Blake and Brandon reportedly discussed the clashing edits of the film. In one exchange, Lively reportedly expressed a desire to keep the promotion focused on hope and resilience, rather than the heaviness of domestic abuse. On the surface, that sounds empowering. But critics online are pointing to the text as proof that she intentionally pushed for a Barbie-style marketing campaign to sell more tickets, effectively gaslighting an audience that was coming to see a story about survival. The unsealed texts show Blake allegedly joking that she wasn't selling the movie on Baldoni and emphasizing the floral aesthetic. For survivors of domestic violence, this felt like a slap in the face. Why was the lead actress promoting a hair care line and themed while the film's core message was about the cycle of pain? But just when you think you've seen the worst of it, a third player entered the chat with a critique that left everyone speechless. Among the unsealed documents were private messages from Jamil that were leaked during the discovery process. Jamil's take on Blake's promotional strategy was brutal. In one message, she reportedly described Blake's behavior as a bizarre villain act, even going so far as to call her a suicide bomber in terms of her own reputation. Brandon Sklenar, who played the fan-favorite Atlas, was one of the few cast members to publicly defend Blake during the initial 2024 backlash. At the time, he urged fans to stop the vilification of the women involved in the film. However, the unsealed texts paint a more complex picture. Reddit threads and social media analysts are now debating whether Brandon was a genuine ally or if he was, as some court documents suggest, wrapped around her finger. The texts show Brandon reassuring Blake that her version of the film would be the one Sony ultimately chose. They shared grievances about production and even mocked the other side of the feud. For many, this looked less like professional support and more like a Mean Girls clique operating behind the scenes of a movie meant to champion women. As we look toward the May 2026 trial, the court of public opinion is already in session. Blake Lively's unsealed texts have peeled back the curtain on a marketing strategy that many believe prioritized the brand over the humanity of the victims. Do you think Blake Lively was unfairly targeted, or did the unsealed texts confirm your suspicions? Is it possible to promote a sad movie in a happy way without being disrespectful? Drop a comment below and share this article with your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going.